Hi guys, I'd like to welcome you guys all back to my channel, and we are actually in March of 2018 already. Really don't know where the time is going, but it's like whatever, because it just gives me a chance to kind of review the books that I've read and the TBR that I'm going to be reading, which I must say, since adding that aspect to my channel has really been fun, because I already read like crazy as it is, and the only people that really knew that were my family and my friends. So to be able to talk about it with people who also read a lot, because ironically most of my family and friends do not read that much. They read like one book or two, but like it's not like the way that I read. So I'm just going to immediately start talking about the books and the audiobooks from last month so we can get into what I'm reading this month. If you guys saw it in my birthday book haul, I did get a lot of books for my birthday, and I'm trying my hardest not to like run through them. So I've just been like trickling them in to my life. But the first book that I actually read was book number 2, Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. Of course, the Red Queen series that for some reason, despite the fact that I still have been giving them like 2 stars, I haven't... Oh, that's another thing. After this video, I'm going to go on Goodreads because I've wrote out all of my reviews and thoughts and things, but I'm actually going to like put them on Goodreads for once and start actually writing words for my reviews. But I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars, and that is really because, and I listened to it on audiobook. I cannot connect to Mare. I really can't. I cannot stand Mare. It's like the only time she feels powerful is when she's not doing anything. So like if somebody said something smart to her, then she's like, if only they knew the power that I possess. It's like, girl, like, are you gonna do something? Like, somebody is always saving you. Like, what is happening? I mean, granted, I can't say that because that would be a spoiler. There was a part of the book that I was like, cool, that's good. But then like they have to keep this weird, again, they force a love triangle situation again. And I'm like, there's no way that this one girl can be that bad that she always got at least 2 dudes pining after her. Like, it just took away from the whole story for me. As usual, I'm still going to read the next book because for some reason I want to finish the series, because I keep telling myself, girl, it's going to get better. Don't worry. Relax. It's going to be cool. But I listened to this book, and in the car, I legit was laughing on some scenes, like, what the heck? And, I mean, one of my favorite characters is no longer with us, so can't tell you who it is, not doing spoilers, but let's just go ahead and go to the next one. I'm not sure if I talked about this in the last Reds book situation, but I finished listening to the audiobook Island Beneath the Sea by Isabel Allende, but I feel like I already talked about that, so I'm gonna just move on. Now, in my mini book haul, I talked about how I bought the Binti series by Nende Okorafor. So it's Binti Home, and then Binti The Night Masquerade. And I believe that as the story went on, the story got better. Because reading Binti, it's super short. It's like, Binti is not even 100 pages long. So I felt like most of this book, I was just trying to understand the world that Binti lived in, because, you know, it's like, it's African sci-fi. So they did take like real African traditions and things. Like, she's actually Himba, from the Himba tribe. So, she speaks a lot about the red clay that they put on. If I pronounce it correctly, I think it's Ojitsu. I'm not really sure. It's Ojintze, I think. But they talk about the importance of that and like what it means to her people and why she does it. And it gives you like a sense that she's really proud of who she is and where she comes from. Plus, I like the whole aspect that like math and sequencing and what they call treeing, which in my head is just a different type of mathematical thing. I think the way that they made that seem like it was such an important, powerful thing, I really, really, really liked that. However, when I tell you that this story got good at like the last maybe 20 pages, I found myself like, oh my God, what's happening? Like, oh shoot, is she gonna die? Like, what happened? So of course, it's like 2 minutes after I put this book down, I immediately grabbed Binti home. And I don't know what it is. Like, if a series, I don't know if you guys noticed this too, but if there's a series and it has 3 books, the second book is always kind of lackluster because it's building you up to the finale. However, with Binti home, I kind of felt more like I knew what was going on in home than Night Masquerade, but I'll talk about that in a second. But this is when she finally goes home after being gone and like just trying to explain what has happened to her. I'm still trying to figure out what happened to her in this book. Like, I'm trying to I don't want to give away what happened to her in Binti to explain why I was so obsessed with figuring or getting to this book, because I needed to understand what was really happening. So again, I felt like there was a lot of explanations, and like when it came down to like the climactic point of this story, you had to jump right into this one. So if anything, she did a really, really good job of making sure that she might have drug in the beginning because there is some explaining to kind of give you a better picture of the world that this takes place in. But the one thing that Miss Okorafor does, she gets you to the last couple pages and you are literally like I speed read most of the time, but I was angry. I was like, yo, like when I got and had to start this book, I was mad. I was like, I want to know what happens. And Binti, the Night Masquerade, the best way that I can explain it is that within her culture in the Himba tribe, when a male sees the Night Masquerade, something happens. But if a woman sees a Night Masquerade, it's a whole other story. And so I didn't really pay attention that the title of this was called Night Masquerade until I was about to do this review for it. And I'm like, oh, snap. I felt like, because Binti is what they call a master harmonizer, and that is a theme that really played out through these books, but it played out in a way that I wasn't expecting, because even the way that she believes what a master harmonizer is different than the master harmonizer that she becomes. And again, I'm trying really hard not to give spoilers, but if you guys want me to go into a fuller in-depth review about the Binti series with spoilers so I can give you examples and things, please let me know down in the description box. I would love to go into this book because I feel like it's one of those type of things. Plus, thanks to this and Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, I'm thoroughly hooked on this whole African sci-fi futuristic type thing. So I'm going to read more of her books. I will say that I did not like how the series ended. I felt like she just was like, all right, well, I told the story, part of the story that I wanted to tell. I guess I need to find some way to end it, and ended it. And I was literally like, when I finished the book, I was like, oh, that's it? Like, okay. So I gave this series a 3 out of 5. I gave the series as a whole a 3 out of 5. I gave this one like a 4 just because I stayed. By this point, I was like, I need to know what the heck is happening to Binti and her family, and like I'm so confused, and just help me out. So I was really hooked on this one. But yeah, 3 out of 5. My most recent finish is finally getting through Victoria by Daisy Goodwin, and I really loved it. I am giving this book a 4.5 out of 5, just because I think the only reason that I didn't give it a 5 out of 5 is because I'd already started watching the Victoria series. And she wrote this book, I read the back and the author stuff. She wrote this book at the same time that she was writing the script for the series, and she was inspired by the actors and actresses who played the parts that she was writing. So I literally pictured the actors and actresses while reading this book, and I really love it. I will say, if you are watching the series, this focuses I think the first 3 or 4 episodes of the actual series, so season 1, episode 1, 2 through 4, I think, that is pretty much this book. I mean, there's a lot of stuff before. First of all, it's a really easy read. Like, I blew through this book without even realizing that I was blowing through it. It's broken into 4 parts. So it's 400 pages, but I blew through this book. I read this book in technically a span of 3 days, but in the first day I read 160 pages. The second day I read like 60, and then the third day I read the rest. So I could have read this book in a day, I just didn't. But it's a really easy read, and you kind of really feel for Victoria, but at the same time, you're like, this little spoiled, annoying brat. And then plus, you know, I have to remember that like back in the day, like that's really how they did things. So I really enjoyed it. I'm definitely recommending this book to anybody who likes historical fiction, you know, with a little bit of like diary-esque feel to it. I recommend this. Now with traveling, Black Panther, Girls Coming for a Weekend. I haven't really read a lot this month, and I haven't really been feeling like reading a lot, so I just took a break. But this book was a book that was pre-ordered for my birthday, and the day that it came in, I literally pushed all my other books aside and I started reading it. Now, I will note that I read the book and listened to the audiobook, and the best part about this audiobook is that this story is broken and is told from the perspective of 3 people. It's told by the husband, Roy, the wife, Celestial, and Dre, who is Celestial's childhood bestie. It's told from those 3 perspectives. The best part about the audiobook is that it told it from the 3 perspectives. And Roy is this southern Louisiana boy, so he's got like that Louisiana drag. And the person that did his voice also did it. So the way that I did it was I read the book, I got to a stopping point, so either I was reading Roy, Celestial, or Dre, and like whenever I got to that point, I would just skip in the audiobook when I was riding in the car till I got to the right point, and then I would just listen, you know, like that, and so I just did that back and forth. This is the first love triangle that I felt. I am giving this book a 5 out of 5 stars. Now, I believe that most of the time in stories that love triangles are ridiculous, unnecessary. The love stories usually don't even make sense to me. I'm a very cynical person when it comes to love stories. But Tayari did this so well. Like, Celestial and Roy, like I'm actually gonna do a full review on this book. It should be coming out like next week or something, but I really want to dive into this book about why I felt like it was such a good book. But for once, it was a love story and a love triangle that you as a human being in like everyday situation, you could relate to this, because this seemed real. I could not figure out who I wanted to hate or who I wanted to root for. I could not figure it out, because the moment that I started rooting for one character, he or she did something stupid and I was rooting for another character. I was mad at one person and I was mad at all of them. Like, I really felt when I was reading this book, and I was like legit in the car like, oh, like, no, you didn't. Like, I was so mad that I was talking to the audiobook, but I felt like Tayari Jones did such a good job with this book that I'm actually going to read Silver Sparrow. I'm going to collect some more books of hers, because I never took a chance on her, but after reading this book, I am definitely taking a chance on her. I am definitely recommending this book to other people. I actually will be letting my friend borrow this book, which is big, because I don't let people borrow my books, but I'm letting her borrow this book just so she can see how great it is. So guys, that is actually where I'm going to end this video, because I realize I'm already been talking for about 15 minutes. So for that, I'm just going to say that the next book video will be my TBR for the month of March. What books did you guys read in February? What books are you thinking that you should have read in February? Are there any new books that I have not seen yet? I will leave my Goodreads account down below if you guys want to be my friend on Goodreads and we can share our reviews together. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next time, guys, bye.